times, and I have this like game that feels almost like it's like the same one, where
Mm,
it's like if me and my jungle work really well together, we can get a lot done, and we can usually just like carry that game. But if my jungle's like taking a bunch of fights and those fights don't work out,
mm,
and I'm trying to gauge whether or not I should do them or not, then the game kind of gets out of control.
okay.
And so, um, I'm trying to be better about like a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
one of them is like not taking bad fights,
Yeah.
trying to, you know, do things with intention,
Mm,
and yeah, try not to just like get to this point where sometimes like for me it's like I need to do something
okay.
because it's getting out of control,
Mm,
and then maybe I should have just been patient longer, stuff
right.
like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look. And what was your last learning objective with the previous coach you worked with?
I think it was with you. It was about just like um intention really.
Right.
Or actually no, I had one with is it worse Steph, I
Worse stuff.
think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which was more intention stuff.
Okay. And before we get into it, do you mind if I upload this one on YouTube?
Oh, I don't mind.
Okay, lovely. Because I think a lot of cat players could probably benefit off of watching, coaching VODs. So yeah,
Yeah.
obviously against Galio, there's not really much we can do here, right? I mean, I like the fact that you're minimizing. Okay, so when it comes to intentionality, I think the first thing I want you to be thinking about is I want you to think about what is the key ability that the other champion needs in order to win a trade, right?
Mhm.
So when we think about Galio, what do you think Galio needs in order to win a trade based off of all three of his basic abilities? Like which one is the one that actually does damage?
His Q and his passive.
Yeah, exactly. So notice here what just happened. He just
He
queued.
used it.
He just used
Hmm.
both. He literally just used both of them. So this is your
But
window right here to go for a trade.
my worry is I get taunted and he has a bigger wave.
Well, the thing is your cat, right? So cat specifically, if you Q, then you jump on your dagger, that's gonna automatically kill the cannon. You drop your W, it'll probably kill his caster. And so now you're trading all three of your spells for just two of his abilities. He's got no passive or Q. And I think you have electrocute, so you would way benefit from a short trading burn to him, right?
I see, I see. Okay.
So I think this is really, really, really important because I think you have the right idea, right? I like the fact that you're playing conservative because the way it's pushing you in, but the reality is, whenever you're playing an assassin, you're always looking for windows to trade when the enemy can deal less damage than you, right?
Hmm.
With their kit, because your champ can go in and out. So if you take less damage than you do, you're gonna snowball that, right?
Hmm.
Because they'll just get to your kill threshold faster. Right? So even if you guys both take a trade, if yours is slightly favorable, at some point, if you're like both half, or like let's give a more extreme example. Let's say you're both at 15%. Cat's gonna way outperform Galio because you're gonna kill him before he even gets to press a spell, right? Because of the way your kit works. So you want to be looking for these types of windows. Like, be okay taking some damage here to deal your damage in the situation. Because yeah, you just burned his two major spells in that situation. I mean, I would say this is probably another window, right?
Hmm.
Just burn passive and Q, and he doesn't even have his what you would call it, the W passive, the W magic blocker
The
shield.
shield.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a good chunk for sure. Your least clear is definitely a little slowed down off of that, but you should get a kill. Okay. Pretty messy, but ends up being a even trade. Sure.
So here I'm just trying to push it in
Yep.
because my wave's pushing.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, this is all good. I think an argument could be made that you should probably base off of this big wave, right? Because you
Okay.
don't have TP. So think about it. When you don't have TP, you really need to be actively looking for timers to go for get a base, so you spend your gold, right? because Cat's a really unique assassin where like her items make the difference on Cat, right? Like as you can imagine, AD and AP Cat completely different champs. So like Cat's a really interesting assassin where like her items shape her gameplay really heavily, right? So I think what you should do in the situation is like once you get a stacking wave, right? You should try to do something with it, right? And I'll explain what something means. So basically, you can roam, you can reset, you can ward, or you can get a plate. These are the four options what you have when you push enemy in, right? Because what I don't like here is that you get priority, but you don't do anything with it, right? Notice how we get prio, but we're not actually able to leverage the fact that he's stuck under tower. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, CP, so we'll probably have to hard push this into reset. Okay. All right. All right, so we're going to Lich Bane here. Run back. Whoa. Okay, so this is kind of a snowball effect here. So the reason why he has prio over you is one major reason. He has TP advantage, right? And you have Ignite. And so because we missed that reset window on that stacking wave, you guys both reset at the same time, which benefits him because he has TP, right? And so because he's back in lane first, he gets pushed and then gets to roam, right? So that's the direct byproduct of our missed reset windows. That's the first thing to take note of. The second thing is that, any champ in the game, even Cat, you don't really want to be roaming when your wave is pushed in, right? Because you're gonna be too slow to the play, and you're bleeding too many minions, right? So I get your mindset here. You want to like play with your jungler, right? Your jungler's getting jumped on, and like your lane roamed. Because the cat is such high wave clear, I think what you should do here is you should just hard nuke the wave and then try to look for a play on bot, right? Because if they made a play top, that means they definitely don't have numbers on bot here, right? Like even if Graves is bot, you're level 6 and you're on a fresh reset, you guys can 3v3 their bot here, right?
Yeah.
So Cat's a very unique champion where Cat early game hates even number plays, right? Because the way her kit works is you insta kill a target, then you reset. So you're really good at like fighting a 3v2, for example, right? Because you instantly kill someone, then you get a reset, instantly kill the other guy. It's real quick. But 3v3 or 2v2 can be a little more sketchy on Cat because if your teammate dies and you can't get that reset, your champ basically just half her kit is gone. You know what I mean? So I would always be trying to look for number advantage, right? Or a quick or like a quick play where you can burst someone, right? So in this situation, I don't think the play could be quick because you're too late, and it's going to be even numbers anyway. So I think it would have been way better if you just push mid, and then you make a different decision after you push on mid.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't see that.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, because look at hindsight. Imagine if you had pushed and then you went bot. In hindsight, what would have happened? You would have literally killed Graves and then probably put pressure on their bot. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a big
Secured
difference.
dragon, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those really fascinating things. I can tell you're trying to put a lot of intention in your gameplay, right? Because you don't play like a plat cat would typically play, right? Like a typical plat cat would just like literally say yes to like just be constantly roaming, constantly trading, right? Just mash their head on their keyboard and like try to get kills, right? And I can tell it's definitely not at all what you're doing, which I respect, and that's a good thing. I just think you're too tunnel vision, as you said, like trying to perfectly sync up with your jungler, right? I think you're just losing out on just straight up mid fundamentals, right? which is just trading when the enemy has no cooldowns, right? Um, Looking for cross map plays at the place too late, and pushing your wave before you move, right? Or like resetting when you have a stacking wave. So I think it's like, I think we just need to like zoom out or look higher level, right? And like again, so it's like push before move, majority of time, right? I think look for non-advantage plays, right? And try to get high quality usage of pushing waves when you do push. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, hmm. I like the initial part of this play. I think what you probably should have done though is turn on the Graves faster, right? Because Graves has no E and Galley's out of the fight. So if I were you, what I would have done is literally flashed on the Graves, like flash Q R him to kill him real quick. Because
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
same idea with Cat. You need to kill a target instantly together with someone to get your reset. So I want you to really hone in that mindset. Like, don't be afraid to switch a target as long as you're playing with another person when you're going in, right? And you can get that reset. Because I think now you're too late to get it on Graves, right? Lee Sin already died.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid to insta flash in or kill an isolated target with multi-threat. Okay. Nice. Okay. Base come back. What I've definitely noticed is that like I think because you're against Galio, you've like automatically assumed you can never trade against him, right? That's like the vibe I'm getting when I'm watching your play. Because like he's constantly just throwing his spells like for no reason on the wave and hard pushing. And you're not punishing that at all, right? You're not trying to get any control of the wave, you're not trying to trade with him, right? And I think what's is creating some problems because you're basically just stuck on your turret forever, right? Which we don't love. Like I get it, like Galio is definitely not an easy matchup. I would definitely be trying to get a little bit more prio and pressure and control over the lane. Definitely.
Yeah. I think what I'm like worried about is just like not being healthy for a skirmish or
Mm,
something.
right, right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's definitely fair. But what you got to remember is that again, you're playing an assassin. You need priority. That's the number one thing you need, right? I like
Yeah.
if we take a hypothetical, would you rather be half HP cat but be the fight 10 seconds earlier, or would you rather be 10 seconds late and be full HP? Right? If I view it like that,
I,
I think I'd much rather be earlier, right? Because then again, Katarina mindset, you instantly get a quick kill on numbers advantage. You know?
yeah, yeah. I see that. Exactly what you just said's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So this is another situation where you're just unable to participate in fights.
So do you think, especially with like how, I have 0 deaths, um, if he uses his Q, I'm gonna get a better trade than him if he passive autos and taunts?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what
Okay.
you could do is like you could, if you're scared of just Q isn't enough, you go wait for him to pass auto the wave because he can't. Psychic can hold that. He has no control, so you can just wait for him to Q and passive auto and then go. You know.
Okay.
But I think the key is that like, yeah, you don't want to be like spam fighting like on repeat for no reason as a cat, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I want you to do is start to think about, okay, what is a good time to trade in this matchup, right? when is a good time to actually go to fight all in? Because I think it's another play you're late. You're just basically late to every single play, which is just the opposite of Katarina's identity, right? Okay, nice. You do end up getting some kills though. Go for the targets are easy to kill for the quick reset. I think that makes a ton of sense. And look, I think you make the best of it given the fact that you're late to the play, right? Hmm. Okay, I mean this works out, but let's see why this is good. Well, she's got no shroud, and she has basically no Qs, or she uses all her Qs.
I was anticipating that E2 with Flash.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Okay, we starting to generate some priority here. Well, I already know I don't like this play because
No numbered advantage.
correct. So what do you think this? So again, like we talked about, there's 4 different options when you get push. So I don't mind you moving it first, and the second it looks bad, you can cross that one off. What do you think we should do? We have no gold.
Should have taken plate and
Beautiful.
then either made a play top or a
Beautiful.
reset.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly right. Yeah, because now we're committing here. I mean, sure, you kill Graves, but it like looks good, but it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Because like this is what's called an empty kill, right? So you get a kill, but you don't get anything off of it on the map, right? You don't get plates, you don't get pushed on a turret, you don't force anyone to have to defend any turrets, right? And so it's like, yeah, the shutdown's great, and you know it's a little bit lucky that Graves walked in that range, Galley didn't R him, but yeah, like it's just kind of whatever in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I tunneled here.
Yeah, I mean honestly, it's a good gank angle from Graves. Um, let's watch it back again. I think the problem is how you like. I don't even mind this initial trade. What I don't love is how you don't run towards your Lee, right? So
Yeah, I watched this back and I thought that too.
yeah, yeah, because I see
I
this
was
a
like, if I
lot.
had gone right, it would have been better.
I see this a lot with pretty much every student, like even up until masters, like even in masters, people overvalue getting back to the tower, like subconsciously, right? Towers are like are not that good at keeping you alive, to be honest. Because they need to ramp up, right? The premise of a turret is like it's hard for them to like dive you at full health, but if you're low, it's like really easy because the tower does no damage. So whenever you're getting ganked, the first thing you should actually look for is what side can I lean on to escape, right? This is why leaning is so powerful because this circumvents the situation where you're running back to your turret because now you're running into them, right? Because if you think about it, like if they're running like this and you're running like this, they're gonna catch up to you. But if they're going like this and you're going like this, they're never gonna catch up to you. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the mindset. It's like don't tunnel vision too hard on like getting back to the turret for safety. Try to always go to the side you're leaning towards, or that you have vision of.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I think the reality with this game is like you played a pretty solid game. I just think like Katarina specific, we weren't able to impact the map positively not enough early on, right? You weren't able to keep Galley lane locked. We weren't really able to create a numbers advantage play because I think you weren't getting enough priority. I think we missed a few opportunities in our fighting and we missed like a reset window. And these things have now snowballed to the point where the game is actually really difficult to play, right? So even though you haven't like blundered, it's like we're not really using Katarina's strength. Like if you were this score and you were Ori, I'd be very happy. You know what I mean? But you're a Katarina. So it's like, well, how does the Katarina navigate a game where they have four losing, like they don't really have a clear win con, right? You don't have multi-threat. Because in my opinion, I actually think it's really hard to win a game as any assassin when you're the only strong member.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'd been against like a Garen mid,
Yeah.
and would you still suggest taking those little trade windows, even though he can just heal it up?
Yeah, well, so what I would say is get specific, right? I want you to really start to think about how did they win their lane, right? I think really, so like Plat, getting past Plat to like Diamond, I was like, this range is where you need to start to learn more about how the other champion in your lane plays. Like, not just what their spells do, but like, what are they trying to accomplish, right? What are their
Yeah.
weaknesses? When do they have windows to be punished? So if we think about Garen, right? Garen's weakness is, yes, he has good regen, but he can't really stop your wave clear um without wasting his own wave clear spells, right? So typically, how Garen's gonna wave clear is he's gonna slam the wave with E. But then the second he uses E, I would just push as well and then roam, right? Or I would just even tank his combo. I would jump in, clear the wave, E away before he full combos you, right? Because he needs to hit you with a full E to kill you, and then you have a window. You know what I mean? So it's like you want to start to get into the nitty gritty of like, okay, yeah, you can't trade against Garen as easily because there's regen. Great. Well, what are the other options then? What does Garen suck at then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's I really want you to start to develop that, and that's gonna come from a place of genuine curiosity on the other champions, but also like you need to try different stuff against different champions. You need to come into the game and be like, and this matchup, I believe like this is the champion's weakness. I'm gonna try it and see what happens. Right? Oops. Okay. Yeah, so the game is a little tough for us now. Yeah, because really what you want to be doing as cat is you want to be so strong that you can side lane, right? Because then you use the side laning power, force someone to react to you, and then you're first. And then Gren would create the numbers and manage play. But you're just in this really awkward situation where Graves has like really accelerated himself. Galio and Akali both beat you in the side because we're not fed enough, or they're too fed, right? And now you're in this really, really, really awkward situation where it's like you don't really have a window to play cat, like the way you want to play her, which is again that push and move style on the side lane. It's like you're just depending on them making a major mistake, which is just gonna be rough.
Yeah. Reactive.
Correct. Okay. I mean, this looks good. Again, we got a quick kill on a target. We can maybe clean up here. Nah. Nice try. But yeah, like I think one of your strengths is definitely your fighting. Like I don't think you executed this fight bad at all. I think you waited for the MFR, had good ability usage here, nice resets, picked up your tigers. It's good. It's just you're fighting uphill battle.
Yeah. This happens a lot.
Yeah. Because I think what's funny is that like even though I would say like being that full just like not give a shit cat style is like not great for learning the game and it's gonna cap you, it like intrinsically solves some of Cat's problems, right? Which is the fact that Cat needs other win cons and the fact that Cat needs to like put the pressure on early game. So it's like while they're misplaying how to achieve that, they're still like kind of achieving that as a byproduct from like playing like a psycho. You know what I mean? It's like you randomly give your bot lane some kills. You're impacting the map and you're letting some of the other members get fed. You're denying the other people from getting fed. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of like a byproduct of playing like really really like insane league. So I think for you, we need to find that middle ground, right? Because I don't want you to play cat how like cat is viewed, which is like just drop every wave and move to every play. I definitely don't want that. But what I also don't want is I don't want us to be so timid that we're not really trading when we have trading windows and we're not like using our windows to try to make something happen, right? Or be faster and recognize when our play is over. And so my first biggest learning objective for you is don't be afraid to experiment in your lane, right? So come in with an idea of how the other champ wants to play and punish during their weakness point, right? I think for you specifically is punish cooldowns right now,
Uh,
right? Otherwise, if you can't, just try to wave clear and tempo reset, or look to move first, right? Because I want you to be able to move first. Just you need prio, right?
Yeah, I
Like
think this is difficult for me, like specifically like when it's like if I'm
harder
not just
lane,
like
right?
way stronger than someone and I
Yeah,
know it,
yeah,
um, and let's say it's kind of like at parity and we're both like around the
correct.
same strength, like say there's a Lux on the other side, and
Yeah,
it's like if she uses her cooldowns, like I'm gonna be looking for that now. But if she doesn't, like how do I get prio on the lane? Like I think I got a coaching with Shock, and he was like, you don't need to be using your abilities on the wave to clear first. You can like chunk them and then get prio over the wave. Um, so like is that what I should be kind of like? How do I get prio over the wave? I guess if we're just kind of both same power.
yeah. Beautiful question. It all comes back to understanding Lux's weakness. Okay, so what is Lux has very powerful spells for Q and E, but what is their weakness? Like, what makes Lux an unreliable champion in your mind?
Lack of mobility,
No mobility,
longer cooldowns,
long cooldown, if you have long CDs, and also her Q and E or skill shots, right?
and mana. Yeah,
And mana. Boom. So you just literally listed out Cat's Lux's weaknesses. So you just said, how do I beat that when we're even? This target her lack of mobility, right? So look to set up plays with your jungler. All right. Would she try to burn one of her E's, and then you probably have a rotation before she has a rotation, and then you jump in, right? She's a skill shot oriented champ, so use your W for the movement speed to sidestep, right? Use your E to sidestep, and then maybe chunk her out with Q, or play the War of Attrition game, right? You could take D shield and run around a mana. You say you just listed all those things, and now it's much easier for you to at least come in with an idea of like, okay, I'm gonna try to target these areas against the Lux. You see what I mean?
hmm
So that's what you would do, right? Because there's no like secret formula, right? It's just like you're going to have to learn matchup to matchup, right? Like the way you would approach a Victor is going to be way different than a Lux, right? Victor's weakness is a wave clear. Victor is really bad at clearing waves early game before he has the upgrade, right? So you can kind of tank his combo, push the wave, and reset. Lux has much better wave clear, but she has long CDs, and her skill shots are really fucking hard to land against a cat due to your mobility. So use your E to dodge your skill shots and get on her, and like Shock said, either trade with her or get on the wave when her spells are on CD. Does that make sense? But that's exactly what I mean. We
yeah,
want to try to
yeah.
limit test that, right? We want to get in there and be like um be like a boxer. I actually really like this analogy Tim, coach of Syria, said. You're like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. So you're short range, right? But you hit hard. So you need to learn how to. Okay, when can I get in range? When can I utilize my trading power, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's really the main thing we need to work on. It's just like yeah, limit test the lane matchups a bit more. Just we need prio. Yeah, well we already kind of wrote that. I think more is like what like do something once you have push, right? And doesn't always need to be moving. And then I would say the last thing is like try to create man advantages slash pick off one target. Does that make sense? Everything we covered today?
Yeah, it seems like most of it's early game.
Yeah, and what you'll find is because a lot of people think, oh man, like how do I win mid game? Like my score, I'm like 4-1. How do I win this game mid game? But in reality, because the league is such a snowballing game, it's usually actually if your mid games feel hard and you're not playing an extremely difficult to play mid game champion, it's usually your first 15 minutes, right? Like now, if you were in Zero Yone, I think it's a different story. But I think Cat's mid game is not like it's hard, but I don't think it's like so difficult that it should feel like this game where it feels like you're like bashing your face into a brick wall, you know? Because that's what it kind of feels like when you're playing this mid game. And whenever you're feeling that way, that usually means to actually sign that the first 15 minutes there's something went wrong.
Ah,
Okay. So do you have any other questions or anything else you want to ask?
no, no, I'm ready to play some games.
Lovely, dude. I'm glad you're excited. And of course, if you have